1000 Sisters star Amy Slaton was hurting during season 5. Divorce and single parenthood were just too much for her. Is she okay now? 1000 Sisters star Amy Slaton had a hard time in season 5. Watching her suffer was heartbreaking. Through the years, Amy has been a rock for other people. She did everything for her sister Tammy Slaton, who was often ungrateful. Now that Tammy weighs much less, 420 pounds, she's a kinder, gentler person. However, for ages, Tammy took her problems out on Amy. Calm and intelligent, Amy did her best to please her sister, usually at her own expense. All of these stressors and more set the stage for what Amy experienced during the latest installment of the show. Amy tried to be strong for so long, for too long. 1000 Sisters followed the sisters as they tried to lose weight. While Tammy's fitness journey is getting more buzz right now, Amy was the first to achieve an important goal, qualifying for bariatric surgery. To date, Amy's lost 176 pounds. However, off-screen, Amy isn't laser-focused on losing weight or maintaining her results. She's more concerned about her mental health. Following a turbulent season, she got help and was diagnosed with acute stress disorder, depression, and bipolar disorder. Amy was looking after a baby and active toddler with all of these untreated mental health issues. No wonder she cried. On screen, Amy's relatives, such as 1000 Sisters, Chris Combs and Amanda Halterman, crossed lines, calling Amy out for her near-constant crying. They may not have realized that one of the hallmark symptoms of depression is sadness. Amy's tears were a sign that something was wrong. They weren't a sign of weakness. Amy kept trying to care for her kids while dealing with mental health challenges so severe that they might have made another person crumble. So it's not true that Amy's weak or childish or whatever. Amy, in her own way, was towing it out despite serious mental health issues. Above, an informative video clip from Mayo Clinic at YouTube explains the symptoms and how they can be eased. According to the video, common symptoms of depression include feelings of sadness that won't go away, irritability, apathy, tiredness, trouble concentrating, feelings of hopelessness, feelings of helplessness, suicidal ideation. However, there is hope, as the doctor shown above, Dr. Craig Sawchuk. He's a clinical psychologist, says that depression is yes, she cried and needed some help with toddler Gage and baby Glenn, but she was looking after them too. She was always running around after Gage, who is extremely active. Sometimes Tammy helped by giving the baby his bottle. Tammy really tried to help her sister. It was touching to see how much she really cared about Amy. Tammy was great with the baby too, so maybe she'll be a mom one day. She said that she's interested in having kids. All of this stress was weighing Amy down. Taking care of 2 kids under 2 is going to exhaust anyone. Then there were the frustrating marital woes that drove her to file for divorce. There were also the untreated mental health issues. Depression is one of 3 conditions that Amy was living with while cameras followed her around, recording her mood swings and misery. Of course, Amy had trouble coming to terms with the fact that her husband Michael would always disappoint her. Postpartum depression may have also been a factor. While Amy discussed that possibility with others during the season, and didn't think that it fit because too much time had passed since she gave birth, postpartum depression can strike up to a year after a woman has a baby. So it is possible that Amy had that issue. Only she and her doctor know exactly what type of depression she has. While postpartum depression usually starts a few weeks after childbirth, every woman is different. Crying jags are one of the symptoms, and Amy definitely cried a lot in season 5. It's easy to root for the woman who's come so far in her life, overcoming extreme challenges, including morbid obesity, a cold and distant mother, and issues with Tammy. Amy's issues with Michael traumatized her. That stress followed a tough childhood, where she and her sister Amy usually had to fend for themselves, without a loving mother close by. Their mother, Darlene, often seems cold and critical. She never really seems to fight her daughter's corners. Then there were the years of being very obese. Society is often unkind to those who carry extra weight. So just as people gawked at the Slatons while they were at the beach in 1000 Alb Sisters Season 5, as though they'd never seen overweight people before, there were probably those who stared at Amy. Some of them might have made mean remarks too, just like the trolls that plague Amy and Tammy's Instagram posts. On top of all this, as if it weren't more than enough, Amy had serious vision problems. During the season, she sobbed because her family was making fun of her eyes. That really triggered her. While everyone in the family teases each other, that kind of mocking talk really hurt Amy. She wrongly believes that she'll, because of the way that her eyes look. Amy, like most people, deals with insecurity. Also, her vision problems just make life a lot harder. She's contending with serious vision problems while she navigates life and motherhood. It's one more layer of complication, and it's not minor in any way. All those things are a big deal. The rough childhood, the obesity, the vision problems. Then there's her marriage. It's now over, and that's probably for the best, but her kids were extremely young when their parents called it quits. Amy filed for divorce, pushed to her breaking point by mental illness and more. Was all of it Michael's fault? It seems like it, but maybe Amy's mental health issues made it hard for Michael too. On screen, Michael definitely got the villain edit. There may be some truth to the fact that he's a villain in this scenario. He wouldn't even look after both of his kids at once. His nutty rules were brutal, such as not allowing Amy to leave the house without at least one kid in tow. Controlling and weak, Michael added more trauma to the life of a woman who's already been through the ringer. No matter what was happening with Amy's mental health, he could have tried harder. The marriage was a nightmare. Amy was like a hostage. Michael wanted her to dance to his tune, but he wasn't willing to give her anything at all. No emotional support, little money, zero childcare. Well, close to zero. What purpose did Amy serve for him? Was she just a cash cow because of her reality fame? It seemed like he just wanted to laze around, almost as though he considered his long-suffering wife some kind of meal ticket. Amy, who has a new boyfriend, Tony Rogers, is much more than that. Amy had a lot on her plate in the newest season. The fact that she was living with untreated bipolar disorder was so sad. As Britney Spears and Kanye West have shown the world, this mental health issue can be serious and even debilitating. It's also tough to medicate sometimes. A balance of medications is typically needed, and finding just the right balance isn't easy. While bipolar's treatable, it's really serious. The worst thing about this disorder is just how low the lows are. They are emotionally wrenching. There are two forms of bipolar disorder. Type I is more serious, with manic phases that can dramatically impact a person's behavior. What's interesting is the fact that some people who live with bipolar go on extreme spending sprees while they're in manic phases. Does Amy overspend sometimes, such as when her bipolar flares up? That's unclear, but it does beg the question. Did Michael deny Amy access to her bank card because she spends too much money sometimes? It's hard to say if he was just cheap and controlling, or simply trying to curb one of Amy's bipolar symptoms. With the milder form of bipolar 2, the highs and lows aren't as severe, but the person is more prone to the lows than the highs. Amy hasn't revealed which form of bipolar disorder, formerly known as manic depression, she lives with. However, both types bring challenges. Bipolar I is actually so serious that it can trigger psychosis. It's a shame that Michael didn't offer her support during this tough time in her life. It's so important that Amy was formally diagnosed. While it may take time before she can effectively manage her mental health issues, her doctor can work with her, making sure that any medications are having the desired effects. She's not dealing with her problems alone. On Instagram, Amy got lighthearted yet witchy with a pal and called herself a. The two gave off strong goth vibes in their black clothes, but seemed to be hamming it up too. Amy looked very happy, and that's a good sign. While bipolar means pleasurable highs as well as punishing lows, Amy may simply be happy in this post, perhaps because any medications she might be taking are helping to balance her emotions. Amy's still rocking the blue hair, even though it gets shade. Clearly, she prefers a creative look. Lately, she's been taking more chances with fashion. In general, that's also a good sign. When people make the time to get dressed up, it shows confidence and optimism. Fashion's frivolous, but it can have a deeper meaning. How someone chooses to dress can say a lot about how they're feeling inside. When she wears inky black for a little drama, or Amy's rocking a bright red coat, she's really saying, I care about my image. That's a good thing.